Howdy artists! Today, in honor of our spooky season, we're going to be drawing out a Victorian house. Now, you might be wondering, what are Victorian homes? So Victorian houses emerged during Queen Victoria's reign over Great Britain and the British colonies from 1837 to 1901. It's definitely a long time ago. So they're known for very specific architectural features. Ornate trim, which you guys can see here around our houses. Intricately carved woodwork, towers, a variety of windows. So you can see here we've got half circles, ovals, rectangles, squares, and more. We're going to watch this little video here, and this video is probably going to be featuring some pop culture references that you didn't even know already featured Victorian homes.
Imagine a haunted house. Does it look like this? A decaying structure with severe angles and intricate woodwork? Maybe some bats flying out of a tower. This is the Victorian mansion. Its ghostly presence traces back to paintings like this one from the 1920s. Artist Edward Hopper's House by the Railroad, which shows an old Victorian house abandoned and isolated. The later part of the Victorian era, named after England's Queen Victoria, was known as the Gilded Age in America. It followed the bloody American Civil War and was simultaneously an era of rampant income inequality, political corruption, and industrialization that helped create a new wealthy class. And the choice home for the Nouvelle Riche, or New Rich, was the Victorian. It was the McMansion of its time, a gaudy and unbalanced monstrosity that showed off the wealth of certain American families. Borrowed from medieval Europe's Gothic architecture, these houses were designed to be imposing and make a statement. They were a mismatched combination of towers and turrets, ornate gingerbread trim, and sloped, bloated roofs called the mansard roof, which drew from the French imperial style. Inside was a maze of rooms like parlors, drawing rooms, libraries, and observatories. Places that were often unoccupied with the curtains drawn to keep out sunlight, which could damage the clutter of heavy, expensive furnishings. Spooky, right? Late 19th century wealthy Americans wanted to emulate Europe, but after World War I, that changed as the American vision turned toward progress and innovation. Modern architects ushered in an era of clean lines and simplicity as the new hallmark of taste. The Victorian, in comparison, became an antiquated symbol of excess, whose architectural style was described as grotesque, and the mansions were called mongrel types, desecrating the landscape. These houses slowly became an unwelcome presence, and eventually the wealthy owners moved on. And when the Great Depression swept across the country in the 1930s, a lot of the houses were abandoned or became boarding houses for the working poor. Without their affluent tenants to maintain them, the ornate structures quickly eroded, deepening their association with decay. Enter Charles Addams, a cartoonist working for The New Yorker who introduced the world to the Addams family, a reclusive collection of ghouls who are morbidly antisocial and mysteriously wealthy. Popular cartoons began appearing in the late 30s, but it wasn't until November 1945 that Addams finally showed us the exterior of the strange home the family occupies. It was the Victorian. The Addams family was a dark perversion of the ideal American family, and their mansion represented that. Charles Addams later said in an interview that he chose it because Victorians are just better for haunts. The promotional trailer for the film, Hitchcock describes the house's appearance as
a little more sinister looking, less innocent than the motel itself.
And when he takes you inside,
you see, even in daylight, this place still looks a bit sinister.
And his inspiration? It was Hopper from 1925. It's not hard to see the similarity. Both are towering, empty, and isolated, decaying relics that loomed over a world that had long moved on. The Victorian mansion died over 100 years ago, has made it an iconic symbol of dread, and now serves as an immediate signal to audiences. There's something not quite right about this house.
So now we've had an even bigger deep dive into these Victorian homes, and we've learned a lot about the history behind them as well. So we're going to take some of that knowledge that we just gained from this video, and we're going to actually be drawing out our own Victorian homes. We're going to be definitely taking into account a lot of the exterior elements that are required for creating the architecture of the Victorian home, as well as you guys will get a chance to sort of insert some of your own little elements, including perhaps some spooky elements. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, artists, you're going to be given 3 different worksheets here, and you'll keep these at your tables while you're working. The first one is that you'll have some examples you can look at. So this could perhaps give you some inspiration for as you are building yours out, but also take a look at these and pick out some shapes that you see. The biggest way to get started and the easiest way to get started is by identifying those shapes, and then you can build upon them with different lines. This is a really great guide that is going to show you how just combining together trapezoids and rectangles, whoa. Not only that, if I start with creating the middle line here, rectangle, rectangle, trapezoid, rectangle, trapezoid, then to create my rest of my Victorian house, I just need to make sure it's symmetrical. Remember, symmetrical is same on both sides. Okay, so check that out. I get the middle done, and then I get the outside here, and I have the whole base for my Victorian home, which then will make it easy to come in and start to add in certain elements that are more of our characteristics for a Victorian house. So things like our mansard roof, our roof cresting, those bay windows, and again, look how these just fit directly into the areas that are here. Things like our fish scale shingles, a balcony, a transom window, pediment, and look, that's again just more shapes, right? That's just a triangle. Even creating here your windows, guys, it's creating more lines or more shapes. That's it. All right. So when you guys are, again, thinking about how you're going to build yours out, I definitely recommend that you start off with creating something like this. And then if you want to move on to grabbing some ideas from here, you can. Feel free to look at your reference sheet. And also, you are totally welcome to add in some of your own elements as well. I do want to add too that if you would like to create asymmetrical, if you don't love the look of a symmetrical Victorian house, that's okay. You are more than welcome to have one side look like this, and perhaps you change the side up a little bit so that you are not making them the same on both sides. Again, that would make it asymmetrical, but if it is the same, that would be symmetrical. It is absolutely your decision. And if you would like, going in again to your elements that you can add in here too, think about, what do you see in this window? Ooh, what's coming out the door? Is there some stuff that's out here on the lawn that's like outside of our Victorian home? Think about too, like, we're maybe not just creating the home, maybe we're actually creating some things around it, like in the sky, on the property. So think about some different ways that you could continue to add on to your Victorian home too.